Hello everyone, welcome to Scorcher Toys at anymoon.com's transformation guide for Bandai's DX VF27 renewal or later version toys. Today we're going to go from Battroid mode back to fighter mode. To begin, if you've got, and you probably will, have this Crotch Lock piece in, it's an extra piece, go ahead and pull that out now. While you are down here, there is a little metal piece right here that you may or may not have pressed up during transformation. You want to go ahead, reach a fingernail in there now, and pull down on that little metal piece right there. Then we can go ahead and just bring that crotch flat against the waist. And what we want to do is just pull forward and disconnect the crotch entirely. And we're going to want to bring those legs around and get everything completely flattened out. So there you go. Now your toy will look something like this, like a very stretched out Battroid mode. Okay, now we're going to work on the upper section of the torso here. We're going to pivot the shoulders forward, which will get these pieces on the same level as the chest. We can then disconnect the shoulders. They're pegged into those pieces. So there's a little metal bar, my shield just fell off, no big deal, that goes into that piece from this metal connector on the shoulder. We're just going to go ahead and wiggle jiggle and get that free. Just pulling it down here. And get your wing out of the way if it's in the way. Alright, so now that piece is free. You can see right there. And then we should be able to lift up and expose a trap door underneath the head. Like so. You can see there is the front of fighter mode. We want to go ahead and try to free that now. And so we're going to do that, let's get the arms out of our way, by simply sweeping up. And this is kind of a scary part because you really don't want to scratch the paint right there. But you do want to bring the nose cone forward. And again, that should be out of the way, up and through, like so. And there we go. Nose cone free, chest. Now we're going to have to work on getting that back into position. Definitely something you want to be conscious of as you do this transformation. I had this crotch piece just pop off on me. You want to make sure that you get that back on whenever it does pop off, because eventually you're going to lock this up and under, and you don't want to get this thing fully transformed and then find that piece lying around somewhere. Alright, now we want to get that head tucked away, and we've got it up and back. We're going to go ahead and bring it back down, and you'll find there's a ball joint that collapses a little bit, and then the whole mechanism will slide down and in. Now that tucked in really nicely for me. I can go ahead then and bring everything back, and it will just line right up into position, and I can click it right into place. Everything is pretty nice and tight there. Okay, so your toy should look something like this now. We can go ahead and just lift straight up on the tail. Apply a little pressure here as we bring Guerra mode back into position. We are going to go to Guerra mode, so let's also get those hips into their position. We'll bring the legs down for Guerra, like so. There is an extension mechanism in the leg. You want to make sure you've got the legs extended. You want to bring out the kneecap and sweep things forward. And then you want to get those hip intakes to lock into place. Well, they don't lock quite as securely as I would like them to if you've seen my review, but they should get to a place where they're nice and snug. And then you've got this arm in the back, right up here, that comes forward and latches into that waist. And that's going to support that whole backpack. And now we can put the toy down, bring down our wings, and bring out our wings, bring up our fins. This wing here will latch into place, and I have had this piece pop out on me here. But you get the idea. You're pretty much in Guerra Walk mode. Now we just need to do a little bit of fine-tuning. Now, I had my shield fall off during handling. You've probably experienced something similar, so go ahead and plug that shield back on. Now, the biggest problem I have again is these Guerra Walk intake, the hip intakes, not really lodging into place. Now, it's something to look at here. Let's pull one out. There is a peg on the bottom, as well as a very small peg in the front that goes into a slot there. So if you're having yours fall out really frequently, make sure you've got both pegs firmly into position. And again, make sure that that Guerra Walk arm support is also lodged into position. Now, even with all of that said, you might find Guerra Walk not the most stable, but you should be able to get it into a pose that you find relatively attractive, and that it will hold in as long as you don't mess with it too much. All right, let's continue on to fighter mode. Okay, so I just told you to put your shield back on, and I'm going to tell you to go ahead and take it off. And while we are here, we can take a look at this arm. It has an extension gimmick. We're going to close it back up. Now, the instructions would tell you to go ahead and put on the knife hand pose hands at this point. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to store my toy with the knife hand poses on there. So we're going to go ahead and leave the articulated hands on. We're just going to go ahead and make them into fists. And that ought to do that. Now go ahead on the other side and collapse that arm as well. Okay, go ahead and flip your toy over now. The wings will fall back. Nothing you can do about it. Nothing to worry about. Go ahead and bring your legs up. That happened a little too easily for me. Let's go ahead and get them into fighter position. So we're going to get them completely straightened out. So once you've got them straight, you're going to recess that Guerra Walk extension. So go ahead and just push up like that. We can go ahead at this point also and get our feet into position. We can fine tune it later, but we're going to close them up and we're going to push up, and you should see that the seams get nice and tight. If they don't, pull out and try again. So there you go. Now the legs are in fighter mode. We can go ahead and turn our attention to our arms next. All right, so you want to get your arm in the same position as I've got this arm here. So take it off to the side, rotate the shoulder piece down below, make sure that the elbow is also below, and that you're going to have the wrist guard below as well. Once you've got that done, you can flip the toy over. We're going to bring back that hook support for Guerra Walk mode, and we're just going to rotate the arms around. Yeah, you do have to clear that ledge in the back there, and go ahead and do the same thing with the other arm here. And now you've got your arms pretty much where they need to be for fighter mode. You'll know you've done things right with the arms if everything sits flush on the top. So let's move that wing. See, this one's pretty flush. Obviously, I just have to pinch it into position. But this one is low. So I should pull that arm back out and nestle it back in and make sure that this little tooth there slides into that shoulder piece. Okay, from up above you should see pretty much level shoulder pieces there. Got those wings up and out of the way. Flipping the toy over, the arms should be pretty level. You can press them in. You can kind of feel that they feel snug, like they're in the right position. I had said make fists earlier. You should actually have your hands open a little bit like this. So make sure they're in that position if you're using the articulated hands. Obviously, if you got the fixed posed hands in, you have nothing to worry about. You're just going to slide the shield into position now and pinch it. There's that peg at the top. And now your hands are in their position. And you can just bring the legs back up and over. And you're going to be in that same position where you need to latch those intakes into position, just like we did in Guerra Walk mode. You have the same two pegs. You're just going to push them in, push your kneecaps in, flip the toy over. You're going to bring up these hip pieces here. There we go. Same thing on the other side. And then we just bring the wings down. And there is one big peg that goes into the leg slot, and we'll lock it firmly into position. If your wings have gotten a little sloppy like mine have, you can just bring them down, adjust them a little bit. Everything should line up. Get your fins open, and then obviously you're going to probably fine-tune your feet and your thrusters and be in fighter mode. Alright, so some final things to consider in fighter mode. You could pop out your chest/intake covers if you're imagining an atmospheric battle going on. Otherwise, you could leave them in. All of these fins could need adjusting, vertical stabilizers, whatever you want to call them. So make sure you got them nice and straight. These canards in the front also very angled if doing normal handling of transformation, so make sure you've got them right into the proper position. Turning the toy around. The feet, obviously, you want to get them looking similar to each other, symmetrical. If you were having an issue getting your wing peg into the leg, check and make sure you don't have that leg still extended a little bit. That would usually be the cause of that problem. Once it's all together, it should be very stable. You shouldn't have any issues with things popping out of position. The seams should be relatively tight when looking from above. Alright, now you're back in fighter mode. Thanks for checking out the video. Check out anymoon.com for my full review, and as always, thanks for watching.